Ace here, your local expert and realtor, keeping it real estate with you all day, every day.
Okay.
And today, I'm with Eric Braun.
No, I'm with Ace.
Not your average lender.
Reporting live from our secret headquarters. How can I be more organized and more productive? Should be happening is, hey, what do you want to spend monthly? Oh, you have X amount of dollars to work with. The fear of starting, not the actual task itself. So let's hone in on that. So you
Didn't really realize the seriousness of the industry that I'm in and what it could do for my life, my family's life.
So I wanted to sit down with you, ask you a few questions, because I see where you're at. And whenever I look at a successful realtor, I start to wonder, like, what made them successful and what's your story, because there are a few commonalities from what I gather, but everybody's got a different path. So first off, how long you been in the business and how'd you get started?
Okay, so 7 years in the business. I got started actually, I literally called Douglas Elliman's corporate office and was like, hey, I'm trying to be a real estate agent. And I forgot who it was. It was like one of their top executives. I didn't know what I was doing. And he's just like, look, go to your local, the closest branch to you. And I actually started out trying to go to Manhasset. Okay. Because I thought that's where I need to sell real estate. Right. That's where the multi-million-dollar homes are. So one night, I had scheduled a meeting at the office in Manhasset. And at that time, I was working a full-time job. And it was pouring rain. It was like 9 o'clock at night. I'm driving out to Manhasset from Queens. And I get there, the office manager's there, and he's like, what are you doing here? You live in Queens, you should be working in Queens. And I'm like trying to convince him I want to work in Manhasset and sell the big properties. Right. So that was kind of like my introduction to real estate. And then literally he just told me like, no, you gotta go to Queens. And he sent me to Queens office, which is where I am now in Bayside. Okay. And that was kind of my beginning right there. Cool. Yeah. So what made you make that phone call? Like, because it's not many people, at least from my knowledge, not many people like want to grow up and be a realtor. So, yeah. Was that you? Not at all. I didn't even think about it. What made you like, all right, I want to sell some real estate. Let me call Douglas Elliman and try to give this a shot. Yeah. I mean, I have a sales background. I was in sales throughout my 20s. Okay. So I had the sales background. I knew how to talk to people. I knew how to, sell a product, so to speak. So, and then eventually, as I got older, I got into a construction job. Okay. And I was doing that for a while. So I was learning construction and I already had a sales background. Right. So one day it just occurred to me like, you know what, you should take both of these, skills that you have and try to make a career out of it doing something. And it just clicked for me one day I should be in real estate. How much does the construction and the sales background, like how much does that play a role in your success today? I think the sales part plays the biggest role. Okay. And like sales not meaning, let me just try to hustle somebody into buying this product, but like learning how to actually build relationships with people. Right. Learning about, like we were just talking about, the fortunes and the follow-up. Right. Learning about that process, learning about how to handle rejection. Right. I think that's like probably the biggest pitfall for most new agents is they can't handle the word no. Right. If they hear it too much, they quit. Right. They go into their shell. Yeah, and if it comes on too quickly, they go into shock. Right. But I had already went through that a lot already. So you had the sales background. What were you selling previous? I was selling products. So at one point, I was selling cable internet services. Okay. So you're getting told no all the time. You're knocking on doors. Right. You're talking to people, and they're like, look at you like you're speaking another language. Right. I've had people, straight up tell me, don't waste my time, I'm not interested, and I have to keep calling them back, and eventually, you break through sometimes. Right. But yeah, that was pretty much what I was doing, and it got to the point where it was either you're gonna quit or you're gonna go harder and try to make some money. Right. So I chose the latter. Right. Yeah. So you're learning how to face rejection, the importance of follow-up, persistence, grit. And how to be your own boss. How to manage your own time. So talk about that, because a lot of people, from what I see, even my experience is, I had a little bit more structure in my story in the beginning, because we're in our industry, we're in an office. Right. You have a manager.
you're clocking in, you're clocking out. It's a little bit more of a job than, let's say, a real estate agent.
Right.
Where a real estate agent, it's like you got your license, you hang it at a brokerage,
Yeah.
and it's like, go do your thing. So
Yeah.
talk about like your first journey and how you manage your time and was it your own boss?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's another big challenge too. It's like no one's gonna call you and tell you to get up and go to work today. No one's
Right.
gonna call you and tell you you got to make money today. You got to produce.
Right.
So your production really is dependent on how bad do you want it.
Right.
And I've always been somebody highly motivated. I'm never 1 foot in, 1 foot out. If I'm doing something, I'm going all the way, you know?
Right.
So I think for me, like having been exposed to strictly commission jobs before,
Right.
it helped me to understand that, you know what, my time is valuable.
Right.
If you treat your time like it's worth $10 an hour, you'll probably not even make that.
Right.
You know, but if you act like your time is worth $5,000 an hour,
Right.
and you present yourself like that, that energy is contagious. People will gravitate towards that.
Right. You gotta hunt. You already knew how to hunt.
Closed mouths don't get fed.
Right. So
Yeah.
what do you think makes you like that? Like is that something you learn, you're born with? Is that nature, nurture? Like, what do you think gives people the drive to wake up and be their own boss every day?
You really have to sit back and think about, we used to do this all the time in the sales training. When a new person comes in, the first thing we want to sit them down and do is figure out why you're here.
Right.
What are you
Why?
here for? What's your why? What's going to make you get up when you're broke? What's
Right.
going to make you work late when you're broke? What's
Right.
going to make you get there earlier than everybody?
Right.
What's going to make you, pay more attention, take better notes, put yourself out of your comfort zone more? What's going to make you, motivate you or inspire you?
Gotcha.
And I think that for the people that come in and know what their why is,
Right.
they end up doing well
Gotcha.
because they know what they're in it for. It's always the ones that don't really know why they're doing it, or
Right.
their why is just money, but
Right.
they don't really know what they want to do with that money.
So what is your why?
Well, my why at this point in my life is literally family. I realize as I get older, it's less about me and more about everyone else around me.
Gotcha.
So I think that, my why right now is I got to build something big enough where I can take care of the people that came before me and my nieces and my nephews, the people coming after me.
Right.
So I feel more and more pressure in
Right.
a sense to deliver the goods.
Right. Do you think all men feel that?
No, I don't
No,
think
right?
so. I think some people are okay with just
Taking care of themselves?
them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then a lot of times they're not even doing that too well.
Do you think that's a problem in modern society? That
well,
men don't feel that. I feel like men don't feel that pressure anymore, and I think it's because times have been so good
Yeah.
that like we're kind of making weaker-minded people. Not even just men, just in general. I feel
Yeah.
like society's weakened a little bit. Where, let's say generations before us, it was like it's up to me.
Yeah.
And everybody had that mentality. And I was reading this book, 0 to 1 by Peter Thiel.
Okay.
He's the founder of PayPal.
Okay.
And he talks about that.
Yeah.
How like every generation has like, before us, every generation was like about this is like our country to build, our lives to build. There was like a sense of
ownership.
yeah. Where now it's kind of like, everybody like tomorrow is tomorrow. Whereas everybody took tomorrow into their responsibility
Yeah.
years ago.
Yeah.
Something you said made me think of that.
Yeah.
Sorry to go off on a tangent, but
No.
so your why's your family.
Yeah. Oh, but to your point,
Right.
I do think that there is a shift in mindset in today's world. Being that there is social media,
Right.
Information is readily available.
Right.
It might not even be accurate information. So you have a lot of people going off of what they think they know, or what they think is true. It may not even be true in practice. A lot of things sound good in theory, but in practice they translate horribly.
Right.
Just like real estate is a great example. You meet so many people that are so hype off of getting their real estate license, not realizing that once you get that license, everything that you learn in that book or in that class, yes, it's valuable, but you'd be surprised how much of it wasn't in that book or in that class
Right.
from the minute you get your license. And that's why you have a lot of people who have their license and don't do anything with it.
So there's two ways I can take this. I do want to talk about social media.
Yeah.
Because that's part of the reason why we're here, right?
Right.
But before we go there, what was your experience? So you get into Douglas Elliman, you pass your test, you go into the Bayside office.
Yeah.
What was your experience, let's say year one?
Well, I was one of those people that I got my license, I feel like I accomplished something, and I went on vacation right away.
You celebrated?
I went to celebrate the fact that I got my license for a year.
You passed your test. Listen,
Yeah.
The work's done, right?
Yeah, and I fell into that trap, which a lot of people do. And I didn't do anything for my whole first year.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and then eventually I got reacquainted with what my why was again.
Right.
And I realized, you know what, I got to go back. And I have to actually do something with this license now. And that's when I decided to come back and try to get to work.
And where are you today? Like, give us a rundown of what you're up to. And
well, right now we're pretty much all over New York right now with residential real estate. We were just talking about co-ops earlier.
Right.
So we do co-ops, we do multifamilies, single families, there's some commercial too. But we're all over New York: Brooklyn, Queens, the Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, Long Island.
Right.
So I try to make sure that wherever the business is, we go there.
Right.
You know, obviously it has to make sense too, because we've done some deals upstate New York that were worth it, and then we've turned some deals down where it was like it's kind of a far travel for us to go back and forth. But
you've expanded since then, and now you're all over.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
You're worldwide.
Well, not worldwide right now.
Worldwide.
We're just in New York. We're just in New York
So
for
if
now.
I wanted to buy a house in Kansas,
Well, you can call me because I definitely have some agents out of state that I refer clients to, people that I trust.
I'm partially joking,
Yeah.
but so tell me a little bit about your struggles early on.
Yeah.
So you get your license, you take a year hiatus to celebrate.
Yeah.
You get reacquainted with your why, which I also want to touch on.
Yeah.
What was your struggle from there on out?
Well, I think the first struggle coming back was trying to find a mentor, someone that knew the business and that would give you an opportunity to learn it, because you don't learn it out of a book,
Right.
you know. So I was trying to find somebody to work with. I remember calling my office manager like, "Hey, just put me with anybody. I don't care. Open house, listing presentation. I just want to take notes.
Right.
I don't even want a commission. Just let me take notes so I can learn this business."
Let me learn.
Yeah, and nobody wanted to work with me in the beginning. I looked at it like, well, maybe it's because I'm from a certain area in Queens. I was coming to Bayside. I'm from Jamaica, right? So they're looking at me like, what's this kid from Jamaica gonna do in Bayside? But then I started to think, well, maybe it's because I'm younger and most of the people in real estate are older. So they're looking at me like, well, what's this young kid gonna do? And then I started to think, well, maybe it's just they don't think I'm going to be here in another year from now. So what's the point in training this guy? And it got to the point where one day my office manager called me and she said, there's this woman named Yvette. She's doing an open house in Queens. I want you to go down there and meet her. I said, I'm gone. I'm there.
Right.
And I went to her open house, and she literally was doing everything the way that I thought it should have been done. She had her team there. She had a mortgage broker there. She had agents showing the property. She was busy. And I saw she had a system.
Right.
So we met that day. Shout out to Yvette Watkins. And we've been working together ever since.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How important is mentorship?
I think it's everything, bro. I mean, look, some people come into the business and they're like, I didn't have a mentor. I did it all on my own. But honestly, I think even that's a little bit of cap, because everybody learns something from everybody. Even if you learn what not to do from somebody, you're learning.
Right.
You know, and if you're not learning, you're not paying attention.
Right.
So I think that everybody in a way has a mentor. It's just a matter of how close you can get to that mentor. Some people you have to learn from a distance.
Right. Sometimes it's a mentor in official capacity, and then other times it's like you're watching YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Or you're just there's tons of different forms of mentorship. Like, you know, I could call people my mentor today that would not call me their mentee because they didn't realize that they were mentoring.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's definitely levels to it. And just because you get started in the business by yourself doesn't mean you aren't being influenced by the people before you and
Correct.
people that have paved the way and laid stuff out. So you mentioned that you noticed, and this is something I'm huge on, you noticed she had a system.
Yeah.
How important is systems in your business?
I mean, it's everything. A client comes in, the first thing they want to know is that you know what you're doing.
Right.
And they want to know that you have a process.
Right.
And they may not know it, but they should want to plug into that process if it works.
Right.
So if you have a system, not only is it easier to capture new clients and obviously close and get them to that next chapter, but it's also easier to build your team. It's also easier for people to want to recommend you to other clients, other business referrals. So I think, and it makes your life easier too. As an entrepreneur, we're on the clock 24/7.
Right.
So if you can kind of automate certain things, it just frees up your time,
Right.
so that you can do other things.
Or at least like just to have a standard way of working.
Right.
Which kind of goes back to what you were saying before, like this concept of being your own boss. Like nobody really knows how to do that. Most of the time, people's experience is they start at a job and somebody else laid out the standard way of working, and they're just plugging into a system. But in real estate, your company may have a way of working. Your company may have suggestions. Your mentor may have suggestions. But I feel like what separates the men from the boys, if you will, is like really diving deep and like, what do I want my client's journey to be? What does that look like? What am I saying on the phone? What happens after? Like really being methodical about everything, because then not only does systems produce predictable results, right? Which hopefully the result is good, right? And the system is leading to that.
Right.
But not only that, it allows you to scale and do more with your time, which again goes back to that topic of being your own boss. So that's all important.
Also too, to add to that, I think systems help you avoid problems in your transaction or in your deal. And I think a good leader, a good salesperson, a good agent, a good entrepreneur should not only be good at solving problems, but they should be good at avoiding problems. Yeah,
I like that. Huge part of what we do in our business on the mortgage industry is looking down the line on what may pop up. Right. Yes. And the best loan officers do that very well.
Yeah.
So for instance, we just got an accepted offer on a co-op.
Right.
First thing that comes to mind, potential problem, the building might not be approved.
Right.
Or they might have bad financials or whatever it is. So let's get ahead of that.
Yeah.
So before that deal goes into contract, we're already checking the investors to see who has this building approved and what outlets we can bring that loan to.
Right.
When we find out 5 out of the 6 investors that we normally go to have that building denied or not approved, now we know how to. Now there's a break off in that road. Like we got to do this, that, and the third.
And you're ahead of the curve.
Correct. So being I love that. I think a good entrepreneur, that's the mic drop. A good entrepreneur knows how to solve problems, but a great entrepreneur knows how to avoid them.
Yeah, I think the difference between good and great is hustle.
Hustle.
That's it. If you hustle, you got a process.
How do you like that, Mario?
Yeah.
That was a good one. So Ace said it best. A good entrepreneur knows how to fix problems or solve them, and a great entrepreneur knows how to avoid them.
Correct.
We can end the video right there. But what I wanted to talk to you.
Let's keep going.
What I wanted to talk to you about before is social media. Well, before we even get into that, where are you getting your business from? Like, is it sphere of influence, door knocking, cold calling? Because there's going to be agents that watch this as well.
Yeah.
And in fact, most of the time, people who watch content like this are other real estate professionals. It's not necessarily clients, right? So I want to kind of focus in like how you are getting your business, because that's the number one question.
Yeah, definitely.
How are you getting leads? How are you getting deals?
Right.
Like, how do I do that?
Yeah.
Right. So where's your business coming from right now, you think?
It's a mixture, to be honest, because when I first started out, to how I was getting leads at that time to now, it changes. So when I first started out, the leads were coming from me going to other people's open houses. I didn't have a listing, I didn't have buyers, I didn't have a sphere to call per se. So I had to go to open houses. I had to meet buyers that were out in the streets already shopping. And for a new agent, that's the best way to get leads in my opinion, because they're already pre-approved, or they should be.
Right.
And they're out there already looking for houses. That's the fastest way to a check.
Right.
Through a buyer.
Right.
And then from there, as you work those buyers, what I was able to do was obviously get to a point where those buyers close with me. And then once they close, it got to a point where some of them were actually referred their friends that want to buy now.
Right.
You know, some clients, depending on what career they're into, they're like a funnel for referrals.
Right.
Depending on where they work. If they work in certain industries.
Right.
So that was in the beginning. Now, as you grow in the business, I started going out. I started networking. I started feeling like a realtor 24/7.
Right.
So if I was hanging out with friends, if I was shopping at the mall, if I was just running errands, I'm constantly meeting people, talking to them, handing out my card. Some people will look at you crazy, like, what do I need a realtor for?
Right.
And to me, that's okay, because you know what? You might know somebody else who needs it. Take my card.
Right.
And then you start planting the seeds that way. That might take a while for you to get callbacks, but if you're still doing real estate in 2-3 years, all those seeds that you planted for the last 2-3 years, if you get 2 or 3 phone calls from that, it was well worth it.
Right.
You know, you're not spending any money, you're just talking to people. And then as I progress in the business, you get to a point where some of the listings that we've taken, neighbors in the neighborhood, they remembered you. And they kept you in their phone and said, I saw the way you sold that house. I saw how much you sold that house for. Can you do it for mine?
Then it's all about longevity.
Then it's all about whenever you're somewhere, make sure everyone knows you're there.
Right.
The neighbors, the small business owners, because they own property too.
Right.
And then you get people that literally are just watching you. You don't even know they're watching. And then in a year from now, they call you and say, hey, you don't know me, but I know you.
A crazy story with that.
Yeah.
We get Uber Eats to the office all the time, every day, or delivery of some sort.
Right.
Common when you work in an office. What are we doing for lunch? Let's order food. That's like a conversation every single day.
Yeah.
So one day, guy walks in, he drops off my lunch, and he looks and he sees the sign. He goes, is this a mortgage office? I go, yeah. Here, take my card, like you said.
Right.
Let me know if you ever need anything.
Right.
But you know how many times it's happened to me where I'm like, all right, this guy's never going to call me.
Right.
He's, it's just, it's probably pointless. All the stuff that you say in your head, right? 2 years later, and I'm talking about just last week, I get a phone call. He goes, you probably don't remember me, but I was your DoorDash driver and I dropped food at your office. I'm in contract on a house in Connecticut. I'm getting denied by the mortgage company. Can you help me?
Wow.
And we have that deal in process right now. Getting it done after somebody else couldn't. But that's all because I gave him my card.
Right.
So I think that's an art form that I don't think many knew. You know what it is? The focus has shifted to social media, which is what I want to talk about next.
Yeah.
The focus has shifted to social media, and everybody wants to use social media to go after a cold audience, and they expect strangers to start funneling into their DMs.
It's all in the DMs.
Yeah, I'm gonna get, my TikTok is gonna blow up, so I'm gonna get tons of action from it. That's most of the time not the case.
You're not gonna dance your way to the closing table.
No. So, but what I think people are not doing is like focus on the people you know.
Right.
I forgot the statistic, but like I think it's like 2 in 10 people every year are moving. That's a lot of, and we get paid when people move, whether they're selling, buying, renting, whatever, they're moving. Right. And that happens it's happens
cyclical.
A certain amount of times in everyone's life. Right. And you just need to do a better job of telling people what you do and staying top of mind.
Yeah.
That's what social media has always been about for me. It's not to go viral. It's not to get a stranger to contact me, although now it's happening, which is really cool. It's, hey guys, remember I do mortgages. Hey guys, remember I do mortgages. Or, hey guys, did you know this? Educate, entertain. And that's that's what has made me successful on social media.
Yeah.
So talk about your social media journey, because here we are making content, and obviously we're here because it's important.
Right.
Tell me a little bit about your experience with social media.
So social media, I think honestly the first thing that comes to mind is follows don't equal dollars. That's like the number one thing for me, because I see a lot of agents who've got thousands of followers.
Right.
Are they doing more business than people who have less followers? Maybe, maybe not.
Right.
Sometimes you'd be surprised at the results. So I think that for me, social media has always just been a way to help me get out of my comfort zone.
Right.
Put out videos, get on camera, talk to people, try to showcase what I'm doing that people might not see.
Right.
For me, honestly, social media just kind of is what it is. It's bragging rights. That's all it is. People going on social media, bragging about where they are, what they eat, what they wear, what they do, who they know, So you got to find a way to brag in a way where people don't hate on you, but at the same time, like you said, you're entertaining and educating.
And they respect you, and you're an authority, and all the stuff that comes along with that as well. And so I just looked up the statistic for something you said about followers don't equal dollars.
Yeah.
9.8% of Americans are going to move this year. So that's 1 in 10, essentially.
Okay.
So if you have 1,500 followers, 10% of that is who is moving this year.
That's fire.
So it doesn't take a lot of followers to make a lot of dollars.
Right.
And people are so wrapped up, and I think it comes down to ego and pride and what they're hearing from gurus, and the algorithm changes, and all of a sudden you're getting all these views on reels, so I have to post reels because that's how I'm going to get paid. But views don't equal dollars, followers don't equal dollars. Like, you just have to stay consistent, provide value, entertain, educate, and you're going to get enough business than you can handle if you do that properly from the people that you know. And maybe an outer circle where, like, it's the people that they know somebody.
They're hitting that share button.
Correct.
Sending to a friend.
Correct. Which is what sometimes I think a stranger is hitting me up on social media, but then I'll ask them when I get on the phone with them, so-and-so shared your content to me. And I know so-and-so very well.
Right.
Like, that's a friend of mine, a family member of mine. So I think it's a stranger. I'm like, social media is amazing. It's a complete cold audience. It's a stranger from, that I've never would have met before. And all these people in the world, they're reaching out to me. No, it's like Ace sent your video to me.
Yeah.
So really, it's a referral from Ace.
It's word of mouth.
So it's nothing. It's nothing new. It's just the platform has changed.
Yeah.
But I do think, like you said, everywhere you go should be an opportunity. You should be. That's a business owner.
Yeah.
That's a business owner. They walk into a room. They're not being like selfish about it or anything like that, but they're like, my job is to make it known that this is what I do.
You're a walking billboard.
Correct.
For your business 24/7. Whether you acknowledge it, whether you utilize it, whether you know it or not, you are.
Correct.
For me, social media has always been a place to go and say, look guys, look what I'm doing.
Right.
It's not where I'm gonna go there and look for something to do.
Right.
I'm going there after I've already done what I'm doing.
Right.
I'm just sharing now with you guys what I'm doing.
And that's the difference between the people who are producing on social media and consuming on social media.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people go to social media to get entertained, to consume. I stopped doing that. I mean, I do it a little bit. You go onto what I'm doing when I log into social media is checking my notifications, checking my DMs, engaging with people that have engaged with my content.
Right.
And then I'll scroll for maybe a little bit.
And then you go back to work.
And then I go back to work. or I post. Right. A lot of people in my business especially, they're like, Eric, you must have no time. Like, how do you get all the loans done? They almost think that I'm not doing business because I'm posting, I'm doing so much on social.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't go there like you do.
Yeah.
And scroll.
Yeah.
I go there, I post. Everything that I'm doing is to push the business forward. I'm not looking at that platform like a consumer anymore.
So you mean you don't go on your Explore page for 2 hours in the morning?
No, definitely not.
Okay,
Definitely
good.
I
thought it was just me.
I don't have 2 hours in the morning.
Yeah.
I wish. But yeah, so tell me a little bit about that. Like, what's a day in the life? What's your routine? Like, I don't know if you're super regimented. I'm definitely not. I try to be anyway. I wish I was. But like, what's a day in the life for Ace?
Well, every day is different, which I kind of like. You know, not every day is the same. Some days you got to wake up at 7 in the morning,
right?
And you got calls all morning, Zooms. You're doing showings, you're doing inspections, you have an appraisal coming up. Every day something new, and I think that's kind of how I try to build my lifestyle, where it's every day there's something new going on.
Gotcha.
New deal, new client, new market, new form of marketing, new plans, new goals. I was telling somebody the other day, I was like, if I don't have a goal, I feel stagnant. I feel like I'm just spinning my wheels. I could be making money, I could be producing, but if I'm not working towards something with that, I feel like I lose sight, and eventually things slow down. I gotta have a goal.
I remember my first experience with that in my life was before the business. My previous life, I like to say I lived a few different lives. My previous life, my first example of like the power of setting a goal was when I wanted to get my first car.
Oh yeah.
And I remember I met my friend. I was like, I want an Acura TSX or TL, I think. Acura TL. That was like, if I could just get that, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, dude, watch this. We drive around, he has an Audi.
Okay.
It's an A4 baseline.
Nice car though.
But I was so impressed. You don't understand. Like I was sitting in this car. I was feeling like the leather seats, and I'm like, you know, it was stick.
Made that Acura feel like junk, right?
He basically said, without saying, think bigger.
Yeah.
Right? So I said, you know what? I'm gonna get an Audi.
Yeah.
What Audi should I get? I was like, you have an A4. I'm gonna get an S4.
Okay.
Right? Older model,
Yeah.
but and it's gonna be like Pepsi blue with suede seats.
Nice.
I was like, how much is that?
Yeah.
What do I need? And he said a number.
Yeah.
And every single week I was working, I would put X amount of dollars in an envelope, and I was so focused. I was unbelievably focused, more than I've ever been, because I had a target.
Right.
And what I realize now is sometimes in our day-to-day, even because we get to a point where we are successful, right? If you don't have a target that's pulling you forward, you fall off. You may be producing, like you said, the money may be coming in, you may be putting up numbers, but like, what is driving you forward, right? So for me, that's what motivates me, is hitting my target.
Yeah.
So when I forget about my target, I need to reconnect with my target or create a new one.
Yeah.
But I'm same way, 100%.
Yeah, it's like, you know, if you have some people that are motivated, right? They can watch a social media video, they get hype. They can listen to Tom Ferry or somebody and just get hype. But that's gonna burn out in a day or two, maybe a week for some. But if you're motivated, that's one thing. But if you can actually get to a point where you can get inspired, you don't need motivation anymore.
Right.
Because your mindset, you have tunnel vision now.
Right.
You're not thinking about who said no to you. You're not thinking about how tough it is today, what time you got to wake up, what time you're going to sleep, when you get some me time. You're just thinking about the goal. You just want to crush the goal. That's it. There's nothing in your way.
What is the goal right now?
Well, I mean, it might sound scary to some people, but the goal is to build an empire. You know, like I said, I got to build something large enough where I feel comfortable knowing that my family's taken care of. You know, my siblings, my nieces, my nephew, they're gonna have a way up. They don't have to grow up like how I grew up.
Right.
You know, so it's one of those things where you got to build it big. You know, and how big? Well, it's as big as we can go.
Right.
You know, but that only happens if you build a good team, if you have good morals, if you have a good system, if you're persistent, and if you're inspired. So that to me is my why right now.
Right.
Yeah.
I think if you're consistent and you're a good person, you have an advantage.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
And then you add in, you're plugged into a good team.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And it may not come fast. Like there's probably faster ways to build this business than the way that I've done it.
I'm sure let the social media people tell you there's faster ways to do it.
How to scale to X amount in 6 months and all that stuff. Like
get the ebook.
Yeah. Buy the ebook. link in the bio. But if you're a good person, you're consistent, you do right by people, and you're plugged into like a good resources, and you have a goal and you set a target and you manage your time well. That's it.
Yeah.
I all of those things. I mentioned a lot of things.
Yeah.
But they're all pretty simple.
Right.
They're not easy, but they're simple. So.
And you don't need any special skills.
No.
You don't need a hookup.
No.
You don't need money.
No. Not at all.
You don't need materialistic things.
Right.
You don't need $1 million listing. You don't need any of that stuff. All you need is determination. Mm-hmm. That's it. If you have that, you'll overcome.
Yeah. I know for me, like if you ask anybody in high school what I was going to be when I grew up, they wouldn't say successful. I didn't come from money. I didn't have any connections.
Yeah.
All the odds were against me. I had a few things going for me. I had good parents, right? They weren't rich. They didn't know how to become rich, right? I had some role models, but it's not like I was plugged in. My dad is the CEO of something.
Retired lawyer or something.
Yeah, I didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
My dad was a construction worker. My mom worked in an office as an office manager. So material success was not in the cards for me.
Yeah.
Right? But
so you came from a hard-working family.
Yes. Yeah, my dad is a no matter what kind of guy. I don't feel good, I still go to work.
Right.
Like if I said, and nowadays it's a little different because of COVID,
Yeah.
people look at like a cough a little differently. But if I had a cough or my stomach, I had a headache in the morning, he's like, so what? Go be sick at school.
Walk it off.
Go be sick. Like you're gonna feel it here, you're gonna feel it there. And nowadays again, it's a little different because you're worried about getting other people sick. But
Right.
Pre-COVID, in the good old days,
it's like, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Now it's like, all right, your hand hurts, stay home,
Yeah.
But he's a no matter what. That's what I think I learned from him, is he's like a no matter what guy. Doesn't matter how I feel.
Right.
I get up early, I go to work, that's it.
Yeah.
That's what I have to do.
Yeah.
And that's a man.
Yeah.
A man is somebody who could set their emotions aside, still show up regardless. Mm-hmm. When things are going bad, things are going good. When they're feeling good, they're feeling bad. It doesn't matter. You wake up and you get to it.
Yeah.
And a lot of people think they could be successful and
Make excuses.
Successful and off days, that's...
Nah.
And I'm not saying you can't have work-life balance and you can't take a day off, you can't go on a vacation.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm talking
You
about.
got to earn it though.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
And when I come back, I'm going to work harder because now I owe something.
Yeah. Exactly.
But I think it's just something in the mentality of somebody that only people with that mentality can truly understand what we're saying.
Yeah.
And we're just trying to put it into words.
You can make excuses or you can make results, but you can't do both.
Right.
You got to pick one.
Right.
And for a lot of people, they pick excuses.
Right.
Oh yeah, but it's easier for you because, you don't understand my situation because it's just an excuse. Everybody's got their thing they got to deal with. We all have challenges. Every day is a challenge. Every day is a blessing, but every day is a challenge. And what you want to make out of it is really up to you. It's not up to anybody else.
Right.
So, I think it goes back to, are you inspired or are you just motivated?
Right.
Because you can be a motivated idiot. I've heard this on a self-development tape. I forgot who said it. He said, you can be a motivated idiot, but you don't want those guys running the ship because you're going to end up underwater anytime soon.
Right.
So at the end of the day, it really does come down to, you got to ask yourself why you're here and whatever you're doing. Why are you here and what are you trying to make out of it? And if you can't answer that question, it doesn't matter how much training you go to, how many seminars you attend, how many ebooks you read, or how much gurus you follow on social media. None of that stuff is going to help you, because when it's time to go out there and actually make it happen, 9 times out of 10 you're going to be on your own.
Right.
So then now you have to motivate yourself, and that's where that inspiration part I think comes in.
And that's where we're gonna end it.
Yeah.
Because that's it, guys. This is Ace. What do you say? Your realtor.
Your local expert and realtor.
That's it. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Ace, it was a pleasure.
Always, man. Thank you.
No problem.